To Lizzie Enders.
Shenanigans.
Lizzie, are we talking a truth, a lie, or shenanigans?
Unfortunately, we are talking about a recent truth. So, a video emerged earlier last week of a youth football coach in Savannah, Georgia. His name is Jarrell Williams. And so he teaches basically Pee Wee football, ages 9 and under. And so a video emerged of him physically attacking one of his athletes. This young man was 9 years old. Um, Neil, do we have the video? So yeah, this is the video that made the rounds on social media. So that's the first hit. And again, this is a grown man. Grown man. You can see he's angry, cussing, as if he is in a confrontation with another adult. Then he goes back for more. Knocks the little boy down. Looked like he punched him in the side of the head. Notice there are other adults standing around who do nothing.
Nothing.
Who do nothing to remove this coach away from the situation, who try to calm him down, who try to offer any assistance to the young man. And then he still grabs him again. So, my question to the panel, first and foremost, well, let me preface that by saying that he has since been fired, banned from all youth sports, banned from coaching, banned from coming into contact with all youth sports leagues. I don't know if that's across the country, but it's definitely in the state of Georgia. But now he's being charged. The DA has decided, even though the young man's mother, and that's another question I'm going to throw out for the panel, the young man's mother didn't want to press charges, but the district attorney saw the video footage and was like, we are going to charge him for assault, regardless of what his mother said. So my question to you, to the panel, one, what do you think is going on in youth sports? Is this the norm? Do you really think this is the norm? And if so, why?
I don't know. Let's start out with Rob B.
If this it I didn't really catch if this was a house league or if this was a competitive league. I know in competitive leagues things get a little bit crazy. There's unrealistic pressure that's put on the children, the coaches, by the parents who think that their kid is going to be the next superstar. But at U9, you're not really seeing that huge gap. What really took me aback was this man's apology, where he said, had he known it would have played out like this, he wouldn't have disciplined him publicly. Well, that wasn't discipline, that was an attack.
Yep.
And like you said, Liz, the fact that there are other adults that are standing around there. I've coached at a semi competitive level, house league level, and if I would ever have witnessed a coach on another team abusing their players, I would have petitioned the official on the pitch immediately and asked for that coach to be removed. And if they would not have removed the coach from the situation, I would have taken my team and walked because that's just unexcusable. I can't get over how many people just sat by and watched this. The fellow coaching staff, the officials, the parents in the stands, the other team. Shame, shame all around. So the league got it right by dropping a lifetime ban on this chump, and the law got it right where the parents really dropped the ball because you're right, Liz. They should have been the ones who are pressing charges, but the sheriff's office and the DA just said, you know what? No, this is child abuse, and we're going with it. Um, and that's it. Like you could see that there was no restraint. He was taking into account that the kid was wearing a helmet, and that's how hard he could hit him. He knew how hard he could hit him because the kid was wearing a helmet. And if he his apology is he wouldn't have done this publicly, then what happens at closed practices? What happens behind the scenes? Absolutely throw the book at this guy.
Let me just read his actual apology before Neo and Yanni. So he said, I'm not going to make no excuses for what I did. I was wrong. I shouldn't have disciplined him in public. There's no excuse for my actions. He forgave me and his parents have forgiven me, so nobody else should be bashing me. That doesn't sound like the least bit of contrition on his part. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So, well, it looks like Gianni's frozen. So, I, you know how I feel about kids. I mean, I just talked about it. So when I saw this, I was angry. I was pissed. Um, it just I just hate to see that. And the way I just have to show it again. So the way he comes up on the kid, you know, I mean, but it was his body language and everything. Like, this is normal for him. This is not an unusual thing. This is the norm for him. This is what he does. This is probably what he does in his and like you said about the um uh his apology. He said, "Oh, I shouldn't have done it on the field. I should have done it in private." I mean, this is not something you should be doing at all. And he said something about, "I'm a man. I'm going to own up to it." This is not a man. This is a
No.
punk ass. I mean, he's just. I mean, this is ridiculous. So, I mean, we saw a bunch of tweets from. I know you sent me these, Lizzie. So we saw tweets from LeBron James, where he
Oh
says,
yeah.
"Ain't no way he couldn't be my kid. Hell, if it was." I mean, and then you sent this one from Shannon Sharp. I'll whip him even if it's his kid. I won't let anybody prey on the weak and the vulnerable in front of me. Not gonna happen. That's how I feel. I mean, there's
Yep.
no way I could stand there and watch that happening and not do something about it. Even if I had to go to the refs or some, I would have done something. Even if I was sitting in the stands, I wouldn't just gone out there and started a fight with the dude, but I would have done something to resolve that situation because there's no way that that's happening to my kid, anybody's kid.
Let me just say, again, I've spoken about, my relationship with my mom growing up. It was very difficult. However, my mom was very protective, even though she was an abuser. In the same vein, she was very protective. Like, I have seen my
Nobody's
mother
gonna abuse you but me.
attack others whom she thought were attacking me. So there is no way in hell my mother would have sat in those stands and watched this man attack one of her children. And so I don't get the mindset. But then I had to think about the fact that this young man probably comes from a single parent home,
Yep.
and the mother in this situation
Easy
probably is
target.
looking for, exactly,
Mm,
probably looking to this coach to be a father figure for her child. And a lot
This
of
is
those
why they pick
mothers
jobs like that.
are in this situation. But again, we have to pay attention to how a lot of adults feel as if they can approach children as adults. They can engage children as adults. Again, he squared up on this little boy as if that little boy was a grown
Right.
man. And that, to me, I'm just like, okay, bruh, you need your ass beat 1,000, maybe even a firing squad, if you want me to be real. But that is
mm,
totally unacceptable. And these are people that we are giving the responsibility of teaching our children, training our children, guiding our children.
Yep.
And yet they betray your children. They betray you by putting their hands being this physical with them.
Again, this is
Johnny?
why they pick jobs like that. Gianni, what are your thoughts? I know we lost you for a second. Hope you're caught up.
Yeah, I'm back. Um, but yeah, I basically feel like the rest of the world feels. I feel like it was interesting to see though because I know that I don't know what you guys have discussed, but I know that there are certain black men that I have that he reminds me of that they
Mm,
have this not necessarily a position of power, but a little bit because what he's a coach, right?
Yeah.
So they have this kind of like position of power, and then they want to play like dad almost for that single mom son. Or I've seen a lot of like teachers do it. I've seen a lot of coaches, for example, and things like that. But usually there is some like boundaries there. With this, it just almost felt like obviously no boundaries. I think that I'm not sure, but maybe the mother of that child could have potentially been okay with it originally. I want to say that because I just feel like the way that he was so comfortable doing it, and then in front of everybody. So it just gives me
That wouldn't
like
be
he may have
surprising.
even known the mother. Yeah, he may have known the mother
I mean,
previously, and
single
he may have been
mothers
friends.
probably are looking for someone to, and you put them into football, you put them into youth leagues,
Yeah,
hoping to find people to kind of teach your children to be men or
guided.
women
Yeah, exactly.
or, um, because you're not able to, you know? So, yep, I could definitely see that. You definitely see that. Any other thoughts before we close this out?
Lock him
I like what
up.
you.
Lock him up.
I like
Lock
what
them
you said,
up.
Neil. These coaches are put in a position of power. They're meant to be mentors, and when you take on that position of leadership, you have to acknowledge that you're not just there to teach the game. You are a role model. You are coaching life skills. You're teaching these kids the value of competition, of honest competition, how to lose gracefully. I don't know that Trump's basketball coaches taught him that, but you need to be able to lose gracefully. There's honor in winning, and you can lose honorably as well.
And
And
then we
these are
wonder
just.
why our football players grow up and start beating on their wives.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
So,
I feel like Neo about to preach up on this Sunday fun day.
all right, there's a bunch of comments online. We have Jose. How many more kids will come forward now? Mike Wolf says in an article, in a news article, he apologized, saying he shouldn't have disciplined him. I should have waited till he gotten home or whatever, gotten back, and so he says he needs to go to jail. Um, it's Ron Perry says it's not the norm. However, there's certainly inappropriate language used. Roka says, "Make no excuses." That was his quote in his apology. Is he one of those people that don't deserve punishment for lack of education? Oh, because it was double negative. I ain't gonna make no excuses or whatever he said.
Right?
He's
Yeah.
calling out the double negative. Good job. All right, there was let's see. I agree with Vaughn. This is from Jacqueline Robinson. This woman probably is in a relationship with this guy.
And see, and I responded to that comment like that very well could be the case. But let's not pretend that this type of situation where you have single mothers with no father figure in the home, in their kids' lives, do not seek out that type of leadership from an adult male in the form of programs, in the form of sports. They're looking to get some direction for their male child that they feel they can't give them themselves. And a lot of times they err on the side of what that particular leader says, to their detriment. So, I mean, I can't speak on whether or not, she is in a relationship with him, but we've seen this time and time again. And Sports Illustrated did an article on this about hockey players way back in the day, who had been abused by their coach, but the abuse was different. It was sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids on the team that he preyed on did not have fathers in the home. They are the most vulnerable in situations like this.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our next hot topic. That one.